That irritation you feel when someone cuts you off is not sensitivity. It's a rare cognitive trait that most people never learn to understand, because psychology says the brain reacts to interruptions, the same way it reacts to sudden emotional threats. And that tiny flash of frustration you feel isn't overreacting. It's your mind defending the space it needs to think, feel, and express itself without being stepped on. And the moment someone talks over you, your brain reads it as a collision, a disruption of mental flow, and a subtle reminder that your voice isn't being respected. What most people don't realize is that hating interruptions isn't about ego. It's about processing depth, because your brain is wired to follow a thought to its end without dropping the emotional threads attached to it. And research shows people who value uninterrupted expression usually have higher reflective thinking, meaning they don't just speak, they construct ideas slowly with intention. And when that chain is broken even for a second, it feels like someone grabbed a delicate piece of your mind and snapped it in half. You feel this most strongly in conversations where you're finally trying to articulate something important because your working memory is holding layers of meaning, tone, and emotional context all at once. And when someone barges in mid-sentence, it overloads your cognitive load, and you feel that sting of being misunderstood. And psychology calls this a disrupted cognitive schema. The uncomfortable moment when your mental structure collapses under someone else's impatience, leaving you irritated not because you're dramatic, but because your brain was forced to abandon a thought you cared about. But interruptions also trigger something deeper, your sense of social safety, because humans rely on conversational rhythms to feel respected and included. And when someone talks over you, it activates a subtle rejection cue that says your perspective isn't valuable enough to be heard. And later you replay the moment in your head, thinking what you should have said or how the interaction could have felt better. And this rumination is your brain trying to restore a narrative that got cut short before it could settle into emotional completion. Another reason interruptions bother you is because you're often the type who listens fully before responding, and research shows people with high cognitive empathy get more irritated by being interrupted because they naturally give others space, yet rarely receive it back. And it creates an internal conflict. Your mind asks why you can honor other people's thoughts, but they can't honor yours. And that mismatch can feel like a personal disrespect, even when it isn't intentional, because your brain links fairness with emotional calm. And sometimes the frustration comes from something even simpler. Your brain enters a state psychologists call flow speech, a smooth mental rhythm where words form naturally and your ideas connect without effort. But the moment someone cuts in your brain is yanked out of that state, and you have to rebuild the entire mental pathway, which feels exhausting because the interruption didn't just stop your sentence, it stopped your internal momentum. Something sensitive thinkers value deeply, even if they never say it out loud. So if interruptions feel like tiny emotional punches, it's not just you being touchy, it's your brain protecting its ability to communicate clearly and maintain psychological safety. And the more reflective your thinking style is, the more strongly you react. Because your mind doesn't like chaos dropped into its clarity, and acknowledging this helps you understand yourself better, while also helping you choose the kind of conversations and people who respect your mental rhythm. If this helped you understand yourself a little more, hit subscribe. Keep learning how your mind works and never apologize for having a brain that thinks deeply and feels interruption as more than just a pause.